everybody, this is the Wikstrand and I'm standing next to a runestone, which seems very appropriate for today's movie. Before the Northman came out, I had such high expectations for it, but lo and behold, for once, my expectations were not only met, they were exceeded. Let's take a look at a fantastic movie. This is the Northman. Hamlet is the son of the king, this great big warrior king. The Raven King is called, played by Ethan Hawke, married to Nicole Kidman, and he has just returned from this conflict, war, raid thing that they have done, and it is time for Hamlet to be accepted as, you know, his true heir and stuff like that. And you know, he has been shown the way of the Vikings and stuff like that, and father and son are bonding together in a sequence that some people call a bit hilarious when they're, you know, playing like dogs on the floor and stuff like that. I could sort of accept it because the rest of the movie was so fucking awesome, but I can understand that some people thought it was a bit too far, but I digress. Anyway, father and son is bonding. Isn't that lovely? We have to break that up immediately because Fjolnir, his uncle, decides to straight up murder his father and, you know, sends his goons to kill Hamlet, you know, securing his role as king. But well, they kind of fucked this up and he's able to escape and, you know, vows revenge. I'm going to revenge you, father. I'm going to kill you, Fjolnir. I'm going to save you, mother. Because, you know, Fjolnir has basically taken Nicole Kidman as his, you know, new queen against her will and stuff like that. Many years from then, Hamlet resurfaces, now played by Alexander Skarsgård, looking real jacked, baby, and he's now part of these, you know, raiders who just goes around, pillage, burns and stuff like that, and, you know, shoots people on the river because they had the audacity of just being there at that specific time. You go, raiders. Anyway, he gets the word that Fjolnir has fallen on some hard times, and is now fallen from grace and is now, you know, stuck in Iceland. And apparently they're looking for servants and slaves for their households. So he disguises himself as a slave from Rus, and then, you know, infiltrates their household. And he's going to basically tarnish them from the inside and wage psychological warfare to them, and then he's going to, you know, send him to the ground and kill Fjolnir. He also discovers, of course, that his mother is still alive, even though I think they could have done a little bit of a better job with aging Nicole Kidman a little bit. Give her a little silver in her hair or something like that. I mean, it has been so many years. She must have changed a little bit more than, you know, from this to this, but what you going to do? Anyway, he also finds this mysterious woman, Olga, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who he strikes up a special bond with and, you know, promise that he will, you know, rescue her from this bondage and, you know, take her away from here and stuff like that. She also represents that maybe there is another way for him than, you know, just revenge. Maybe there is something else waiting for him after he has fulfilled his destiny of killing his uncle and, you know, avenge the crimes and stuff like that. And that is essentially what this movie is. And if you're thinking to yourself, this sounds a little bit familiar, this sounds a little bit like The Lion King or Hamlet or anything like that, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that Roger Eggers basically has, you know, stolen everything from Hamlet. But the thing is that this is not based on Hamlet. It's based on Amleth. It is Old Norse mythology written by Saxo Grammaticus, you know, somewhere in the thousands or, you know, 11th century, something like that. And that was the inspiration for Hamlet later by William Shakespeare. That is why the story takes place in Denmark. Anyway, the Northman. The Northman fucking rules. I love almost every aspect of this movie. I have been waiting for a movie like this to come out for so long, and they have done almost everything I wanted it to do. It's not a secret that I'm a huge fan of Man of War, and they have almost, you know, made a movie that looks exactly like how I would imagine that Man of War would look like if it would have been a movie. And not only is, the soundtrack to this movie fantastic, they have fantastic cinematography, they have amazing visual storytelling with suggestive imagery and an extremely awesome carnage, visceral storytelling and fantastic acting. I've never seen Alexander Skarsgård as anything else than a very, very good looking son of a very, very good actor, Stellan Skarsgård, but god damn it, he's so good in this one. He has carved out himself a really interesting character. And Anya Taylor-Joy does another fantastic performance in this one, even though she, claims that she can, destroy men's minds and stuff like that, but we never really get to see her do that. I think they could have written in a couple of things that, we could have seen their manipulation and stuff like that, but did we actually get anything of that? I don't know. Anyway, forget about that, because we have revenge things to do, and the revenge is so fucking awesome. Some people will probably think that it takes a little bit too long for things to happen, and it is not gory enough, it's not bloody enough, and I can sort of agree with the bloody and gore thing, because I think this movie could have used more of everything. More raids on villages, more people screaming in the camera, bloody and, screaming for revenge and stuff like that, and I want more action, I want more of everything. Speaking of that, I actually think that 2 hours and 16 minutes isn't enough for this movie. I could have gone for an hour more because this movie was so fucking awesome. And I can understand, that things takes a little bit of a time to get going in this movie, but there is a lot of setup, because when stuff is happening, they are so much more earned than if they just were, rushed or anything like that, because when shit goes down, it looks fucking amazing, and you're just so invested in what's going to happen, and the characters are so compelling. And when, the final act of this movie sets in and you go, oh shit, they're going to do this, this and that. They actually do this, this, this and that. And the final thing, when the volcano thing happens, that is just some of the most amazing visual storytelling I've seen. It is one of the greatest finales that I've seen in a movie like this. And this movie is just a almost perfect movie. I love every aspect of this. I have a soft spot for, historical action piece. I love this sort of setting, and I love the atmosphere that you have. You feel like you're there. It feels like you're actually in Iceland, and it is during Viking times, even though maybe it would have been even better if they would have spoken Icelandic or Swedish or Norwegian or Denmark or whatever they would have spoken. It would have, added even more to the feeling that you were actually there and to the authenticity of this movie. Nicole Kidman may not have been the greatest in this movie. She's a pretty good performance here. Not one of her best, but even a standard Nicole Kidman performance is still better than most other. And maybe Fjellner isn't the most compelling villain of all time, but he's fine, I guess. Then we of course have to talk a little bit about the wise man / the fool, played by Willem Dafoe. Dafoe is of course axed very early in this movie, but he kind of shows up again when his severed head is allowed to give Alexander Skarsgård some advice and stuff like that on Iceland, and it must have been some sort of an in-joke that his eyes are so bugged out that I think he's about to say something like, "How do you like your vacation so far?" or something like that. It was just great. Björk as the seer was not really necessary for her to do that, but that voice is just so iconic, and it is a pretty awesome sight to see, and the visuals of that one, oh my, it feels almost like a Guillermo del Toro creation or something like that. This is a fantastic movie with great visuals. It is a fantastic story, and even though you might think you know where this one's going, they still, throw in a couple of wrenches here and there to make you think, they're not going to do that. Might they do that one instead? And maybe they do. I really recommend this movie, and you have to look beyond the slightly slower pace that this movie has, because it will award you. Also, you should have watched this movie in the cinema, and if you can't do that, you must have a really good TV and you must have absolute pitch black darkness. Otherwise, some stuff you will not understand who is doing what to who, where or how, because some of the action that takes place in the dark is in almost pitch black darkness, and if you're going to see the details, you need a really good TV. Also, they have the most violent game of floorball, aka innebandy, that I've ever seen. That was a really fun thing to see, by the way. So what else is there to say about this movie? This movie is fucking brilliant, and I'm really thankful that Roger Edgars has done that. Now I officially love this man. He has always done, you know, these very good movies, but this is his best movie so far. The Witch was fucking awesome. The Lighthouse had a very good setting and some very good acting, even though it was limited, in my opinion, by his insufficiency of, you know, having this black and white cinematography and this, you know, 4:3 ratio aspect. I thought that was unnecessary and a bit of a gimmicky thing to do to a very fascinating story with two very good actors. I think that movie should have been in color, and it should have been in the regular letterbox. It just was too gimmicky for my taste, but also a very good movie. This one outclasses them all. This is a movie I didn't want to end. I just wanted it to keep going and going and going. Will we have a sequel to this one? I think not, and that is totally fine, because it has enough that you could do a sequel, but you don't necessarily need to do a sequel. You can do a sequel, and also you don't need to do a sequel. That is the best type of sort of ending to a movie that you can do. There is possibilities to do so, but you don't have to. By the way, when I exited the cinema after I've seen this movie, I said to myself, wow, this was so good, but why does Hollywood have to do the good things when it comes to the Viking movies? Why do they have to, you know, make the Viking era look more badass and cool than it has ever done in anything else that anybody has ever done? Why can't Sweden do this? Why can't Denmark, Norway? Why can't we have any Icelandic movies that does this? Why do we have to get $100 million movie from Hollywood that does that? I mean, sure, well, at least we got Korpenflyger, but what does Sweden does? Hem till Midgård! Yay! If you've never seen The Northman, do see it. If you have seen it, see it again, because this is a timeless classic. This movie could have been done, you know, for the last 50 years or something like that, and it wouldn't have felt out of place. And I just wanted this movie to just keep on going and going and going. Thank you, Roger Edgars, for doing this movie. The Northman is a timeless classic, almost tailor-made for me, and I give this movie 96 points. It's one of my favorite movies from the 2020s, and I really hope that we will get more movies like this in the future. Fantastic soundtrack, fantastic cinematography, great performances. Who could ask for more? Hey look, reindeers, how fun! Well, I'll see you next time for Well So and So reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching, thank you very much!